Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode number 267 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Go to www.fdfineartsassociation.org to find out more. They got a great community calendar. They have a great podcast that I play a minor role in. Shelly Bodorf goes out and interviews the best people in Fort Dodge. That's all I have to say. You have to check it out. It's amazing. It's super fun. Lots of people helping create a lot of art in the Fort Dodge area. That's all sorts of art. So check it out. It's called FDT. You can find it on their website. The website is down below. Thank you. This episode, I'm sitting down with Coleman McAllister. He is, an internet personality. He does a lot of stuff. He's had a podcast. He's had another podcast. He's done videos on all sorts of stuff. He tried to make a movie once. We talk about all of this stuff. He does video game live streams. I mean, he's got all sorts of goofy things going on. And I love seeing him pop up on my feed just because I know that I just like the way he is. I don't know. It's funny to watch somebody just go out there and be themselves and unregrettably be themselves. And not only that, but like I was recently on his podcast, the McAllister Hours, and it's fun to have a discussion with somebody when you don't agree on a topic and you can still like laugh about it, and it's just a fun time. I don't know. That's one of the reasons I had him back on this podcast. You know, it's fun to know that his life parallels mine in some ways, and in the ways it doesn't. We're basically just like the opposite, but we still get along. And it's fun to know he's out there making his own podcast, doing his own thing. You got to check out some of his live streams if you haven't. We'll talk about it in this episode. This is a good one. This is a really good one. I don't really get too much into the like Barbara Walters style interviews, but this one I did kind of grill him a little bit, just asking him like why he did or didn't do certain things, or what happened to the movie that he was trying to make, or what was it like going to video production school, and how has it changed your life, or whatever. It's fun because he answers a lot of this stuff seriously, but a lot of times he's also kind of joking around, and we get a lot of laughs in here too. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's episode 267 with Coleman McAllister.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
I'm sitting down with Coleman McAllister. Coleman, you are, an internet personality at this point. I don't know how else to describe you. I mean, like, you're a podcaster, you're a video game dude. You got clips that kind of go, I don't want to say viral, but you make clips online and people comment on them, and it's typical online comments of people just being loony. And what have you been up to lately? I mean, McAllister Hours is back. I do want to say that for people that are listening to this podcast that don't know it's back. It is back, much like the Audible Farm Podcast. So let's just kind of talk about something here real quick. We're gonna do some house cleaning. You were on episode 112 and 182 of the podcast. So if anybody here wants to go listen to older episodes with Coleman and see what he was, how you've changed over the years, that's 2020 and 2022. So there's like a 5-year time capsule of you out there, basically. And
my glory days.
I've also been on the McAllister Hours 4 times, and 2020, 2022, early and late 22, and then also in 2025. So we do have like a little bit of mirroring there, which is weird because our podcasts have mirrored. So McAllister Hours, if you had to describe it kind of quickly, how would you describe it to people if this is the first time they're ever hearing this?
Well, when people ask me about it, I kind of just, I don't know, I kind of just tell them like, yeah, we could just kind of talk about whatever, for a while there, I was really kind of delving into the political stuff, like really trying to be more of that like solo man, like, hey, here's what's going on in the news, both locally and, worldwide. I will say I always did try and do still try to focus on the local stuff because, I mean, anybody can talk about what's happening with Trump or Ukraine or Russia, right? But like talking about like, Rob Sand, who's the Democrat candidate, or like the water problem, there aren't very many people who do the kind of content we do who actually do focus on local things. So that was a big part of my drive. And look, I mean, even if those don't play out in numbers, like I don't really care at the end of the day. Like I want to be able to give a voice to that and a voice to what's going on locally. and we talked about this on the podcast that actually today I just posted, that you and I did, where like it's a grind, going against the internet, going against the comments, especially when you're someone like me who has, very rigid out there views that a lot of people tend to disagree with. It does tend to be a grind. So I've been kind of stepping away. I've been kind of trying to do more of the game stream type of stuff. You and I had our podcast. I hope to do, more solo podcasts or more guest podcasts. But I really like that you call me internet personality. That's like been my, like, if I hit the level of internet personality, that's the cream of the crop right there. So,
well, I would definitely say you are, because I mean, there's stuff where it's like I've seen clips of you, and I don't know if they're solo episodes or what they're from, but it's you just sitting down talking about, let's say the water problem in Des Moines,
Sure.
and you'll frame this all in a way that's just like, this is dumb because this, and you try to make it funny, and then you're also in the same breath basically being like, and if I'm wrong, tell me how I'm wrong. And then people get on the internet and they're just like, you're dumb. And I went through the same thing recently with like one of my reels, and people just grilled me on it. And even if you try and fight back, they just grill you harder. And it's like, well, you can't win. And I'm literally asking, if you have a different opinion, tell me why. And that was like one of my favorite things about going on your podcast and talking about, the whole is taxation theft thing. So if you guys want to hear more on that, definitely go back to the McAllister Hours podcast. There's links down below, so check those out.
I do want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
One of my greatest achievements ever in podcasting is getting Peter Stockdale from Audible Farm to talk about government and politics for an hour and 15 minutes. I was like, and the thing that was so crazy about it is like, because you had messaged me wanting to talk about that subject, and we don't need to get into it again because it's already out there, but about how taxation is theft. And I'm like, okay, like maybe I'll like bring this up and kind of like, but no, you like, I was listening to the episode, say like 45 minutes in, you're just like, okay, so this is how I feel about it. And I was just like blown away. I'm like, oh my God, we're doing it. Me and Peter are like, and like Barbie, I was trying to like, I was trying to in my mind, like be a little more cautious about it. Cause I feel like there are times when I have those conversations on the podcast where like the person is very politically motivated, or they are someone who's like, that's more of their edge or like just the thing that they're focused on. But that's not really you. Like, that's the way I like about you and what I like about your show is like, you're just a cool guy from Iowa who does music and does podcasting and does all this stuff. And you just have your opinion on it. I really like that. And, I want to say, like, I think our conversation about that topic, about that subject, government specifically, I found it to be one that I probably appreciated the most. Because I think a lot of times when I talk to people about that subject, I almost wonder the genuineness of it, like how much they actually profit off that system. Like if you were to like talk to somebody from Casey's, right? And you were to be like, hey, I think your pizza sucks. You're not going to get like a genuine response from them, right? They're going to say, oh, Casey's is the shit. Their pizza's awesome. Their wings are the best, right? But like with you, like, you have a job. You don't have kids. From what I can tell, you're, for the most part, like self-made, Like when I look at you, I don't see a lot of like kind of issues.
Yeah.
But, I don't see like someone who is like really benefiting off the system or like really like milking in. I mean, I guess I don't know that much about you, but from what I understand about you, like you're not someone like that. So to have that conversation with you and to like really kind of get that insight, I found it really interesting. So I really appreciate that we were actually able to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, you basically hit the nail on the head. I always try to like, there's like everyone's always taking like, I want to say like a handout from somebody, whether that be their parents or whatever it be, and that's that, maybe that's my handout that I got was, my parents taught me well and helped me, but that's kind of been my benefit, I guess. But up until like recently, I would say it wasn't until my 20s that I really kind of started figuring my stuff out and being self-sustaining. And then I went back to school and I realized a lot of my values that I had weren't necessarily, they were rooted in something that wasn't reality. And so when I started like educating myself and then taking like that plus real life experience over the last 10 plus years, it's kind of like, oh, this has actually shaped me into who I actually want to be, and I kind of let that out on the podcast. I'm negative just like everyone else is, you know, but I also feel like, you know, it takes 20 drops of positivity to like cancel out 1 drop of negativity. So I'm trying to just push positivity out there on my platform. It doesn't mean I don't like negativity. You know, it doesn't mean I don't like talking about tough topics or anything like that. And that's one of my favorite things about going on your podcast is you and I weren't just like sitting there in like a talking heads newsroom, CNN, Fox News thing going on where we're yelling at each other. We were actually like having a conversation and having fun with it, you know? And
yes,
my favorite thing about it was like, I was literally driving home after we recorded and I was thinking to myself, like, I drove into your driveway thinking like, this is absolutely black and white, like your stance versus mine. And now I'm just like, I feel like there's a lot more gray area in this now than there was before. And, you know, that's how life should work, in all honesty. Like, you should have an opinion. Everyone should have a very, very rigid opinion on something. But when you discuss something with somebody else, you shouldn't leave just thinking that person's a moron and your opinion's correct. You should actually like intake this information and digest it. And even if it changes your opinion 0.1%, you've done your job, you know? And that's where I feel like our conversation this last weekend kind of made me just be like, yeah, you know, like just because you and I don't have the same viewpoints in the world doesn't mean we can't have a conversation and have some laughs along the way and discuss tough topics. And it doesn't mean we like armchair quarterback the world and solved all the problems either. We didn't solve a damn thing. You know, let's be honest.
Who knows, man? Maybe one of Trump's cabinet people actually listened to our show and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you never know.
This is the way of the world.
These guys had really hot button issues, hot button topics. I was actually re-listening to it recently, and it's like, I was thinking like, man, nobody should give me a microphone, you know, and like just be like, hey, let out all your opinions, you know. And that I feel like that's every time I'm on your podcast. I feel this thing that everyone always feels when they leave. They're like, oh, but I didn't say something stupid. You know, every podcast I've ever recorded with anyone ever. And I'm just like, I don't really care. But every time I'm on your podcast, I'm just like, ooh, I hope I didn't say anything stupid. Because, you know, like I'm a little bit more reserved on my podcast. And on yours, it's just like, there's not an edit button, you know, basically. It's just like, just say it, you know. Let me quote this from your header on your website, the craziest Iowa podcast. And I will confirm that is true.
Oh, yeah.
by far one of the most fun, because like you've interviewed like literal actual like state running politicians, like people running for like governor, I believe. You ran you interviewed a gubernatorial candidate. That's insanity. Did I say that right? Am I politicking correctly? So yes,
it was the libertarian governor candidate. Yeah, Rick Stewart. I've had him on a couple times.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna run again in 2026. I haven't talked to him. I don't know who the libertarian candidate for that is, but yeah, man, I would love to have more people that are involved in politics on the show. I think because, well, part of it is because in a lot of my clips I have a do-rag on. So like, you know, a white guy in a do-rag, they're going to take a first look at that and be like, maybe as a an elected official seeking office, I shouldn't like, this is probably a bad idea. Right. But I mean, part of it too is like, you know, I'm not afraid to like, you know, say like, hey, like there's this thing about you that like I kind of have questions on, or, you know, I'm sure other people have questions on, like, can you respond to this? Like, I'm not afraid to do that. Like, there have been plenty of times where like, not even like people who are in an official position, just like who have a stance on something. Like, I'm not afraid to be like, okay, like kind of poke and prod it. Like, okay, but like, you know, let's play devil's advocate or look at the other side of the coin. Like, when this is the case, like, how does this play out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how you have like a deep, meaningful conversation. Truly in my mind, I think 98+% of people who are involved in politics don't want to have that.
Yeah.
They want to put out their point. They want to blast out their message, and that's it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, I don't want to, you know, delve too much into this, but like Rob Sand for Iowa, the Democrat candidate. He's someone that like I had discourse with, like on Twitter. We were talking. We're like, hey, I'll get you on the podcast. And he's like, okay. Email my the media person, right?
Yep.
And like that went nowhere. Like I sent him a million messages, and then you know then I kind of just, you know, ended up just commenting on his Twitter and his Instagram. You know, just like pointing out stuff like, hey, like this is like you make this point about education or whatever, but like, okay, how does this really play out? And it's funny because like there will be like specific comments that he'll respond to where you're like, oh, he's responding to this specifically to make him look good, or to make his character look good, because it's like a low-hanging fruit comment, right? But then you have me and others who are like genuinely like, okay, like is this legit what you're promoting? And he doesn't respond, right? And I don't know anything about Rob Sam. Maybe he's a fine guy, but like when it's just not in the game of politics. It's not in the game of politics to like actually have genuine conversation. And that's what's so great about the podcast space. Is like, you know, you saw in this last election how Donald Trump went on the podcast, and, you know, Gavin Newsom for the next presidential election, like he's going on a lot of podcasts. Like this media format is the new thing. I mean, yes, we still have the corporate press. Yes, we still have CNN and Fox or whatever, but that's dying out. That's a dying breed. I think in 10, 20 years, this is going to be the way that people talk to politicians. And that, in effect, in my opinion, is going to shape the whole thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
People are going to have to at least seem genuine. They're going to have to seem more genuine than just like, okay, here's my 3 points. Goodbye. Have a good day. Right? Like they're going to have to sit down for hours and hours on end talking about their stuff, you know?
Yes. So that is actually, this is crazy that you're bringing this up, because this is what I use as my marketing tool because I do this for a job. So like I have businesses that have podcasts, and the reason I have it is like, this will humanize you. Like your job might be a job that seems like on the outset, somebody might have an opinion based on, you know, something that's not true. Let's just say, and I'm just making one up, car salesman. So like if a car salesman goes onto a podcast for an hour, you're going to quickly figure out that they can't keep car salesman energy for an hour straight with no edits. You know, it's like, and again, I'm just using that as an example. I'm not trying to pigeonhole anyone, because there have been car salesmen on multiple podcasts I've run. So nothing against anybody there. But like
David.
but that's just like the example of the easiest one I could give. So like this would take like anybody with their job kind of, and it humanizes these people. It makes them into like, oh, this is a real person. They have a family. They have a life. These are the things they like to talk about. These are their hobbies. These are their interests. And you start to actually kind of like build this picture around this person instead of somebody that just has these like rigid, publicly displayed values that might not actually line up with who they actually are, which, you know, as far as I'm concerned, is literally every politician, because that's like the joke about politicians. They say one thing here and they look this way, and then whatever, you know, they're all hanging out with their secretaries after work or whatever, you know, what I'm just making a vast assumption again.
Well, I mean, it's theater, you know, I mean, these people who are like against each other, then they go out to dinner after, like they do this thing on TV where they're like battling each other, and then they go get dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's pro wrestling. It's pro wrestling.
Exactly. It's literally WWE pro wrestling. 100%.
It's so funny. And then like the crazy thing is you watch like pro wrestlers become politicians, because that's actually happened a handful of times, and it's like, oh, wait a second, like Vince McMahon's wife is like a politician in like Connecticut. She's like a state senator, I think. Or is it, look that up? I'm gonna look that up right now. Linda McMahon,
I think that sounds familiar.
she's the United States Secretary of Education right now. Good lordy load. Is that right? That's what came up. I don't know.
You know, if they were smart, they would just start dipping into that pool more often. You know, like stop trying to find these like Harvard educated people or whatever. Just go to fucking WWE. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but just go to WWE and
You can swear all you want.
okay, good. Just go to WWE and find people that way. They'll probably do a better job.
Well, yeah, honestly, they've been trained for it. You know, the whole world is a work, though. Honestly, like it's, I don't know.
Donald Trump was on WWE, you know?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he helped shave Vince McMahon's head. You know, I was actually at that WrestleMania, believe it or not. It's crazy.
Are you for real?
I was at that one. It's in Detroit. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. That's,
you know, my fiance wants to take me to WWE, and I'm like, I don't know. Like I totally missed out on that whole era. I think maybe it was just like this my growing up like in a censored household. I don't know what, but like that whole thing just missed me. And like I meet so many people who are like, oh, I love like people who aren't even into WWE. Like she's by no means like a WWE fan, but she's like, hell yeah, I would go to a live WWE event. I don't know, man. I feel like I would need to be on something to like.
It'd be like it's like monster trucks with LED lights and pyro.
Well, like that I can get. Like that would be kind of fun because it's like the machines and all that. But there's something about like it just like me going into it knowing it's completely fake that like I don't know. I just like I can't really get into it. I'm not trying to shit on WWE, but like I've just never.
No, I get it. You got to suspend your disbelief in some capacity, and that's not always an easy thing to do because there have been moments in my life where like I've watched lots of wrestling and I've wavered in and out like an accordion where it's like I'm watching a lot. Now I'm not watching much. Now I'm watching a lot. And there are times where like it like clicks. It's just like snap and it doesn't work anymore. Like, and I will sit there and I remember I was watching like some like 90s WCW Nitro and it's like Lex Luger comes out just roided out and he's just half naked and there's pyro going off all over him. It's just like last week Lex Luger hit Macho Man Randy Savage with a chair in Detroit and here we are and we're in, you know, it's like what is going, like this is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's weird because it just like happens and I'm just like I gotta give this a break for a while, and you just like stop for a little bit, and you're like, okay. And then you come back to it and you enjoy it again, you know. And then I don't know. That's kind of how I go with it because every now, like I said, I don't know what happens. Just switch, just click, and it's just this is
back here.
This is weird. Like I think I just like step back too far to look at everything that's going on, and I'm just like, whoa, this is odd. They're going town to town doing this. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. Oh, okay.
It's kind of like high octane reality TV.
Yeah.
In a way.
I mean, it's like soap opera plus live plus you're like a stuntman doing athletic stuff, and it's only one take, and you have to be like acting. And they're like, honestly, if we're really honest, they're like not really the best actors. But if you like put yourself in the universe of pro wrestling, like. Everything Vince McMahon ever did, like all of his facial expressions that got turned into memes and just like all the nonsense, you're fired. It's just like, it's the stupidest thing ever. But in the context of this like universe that they've created, it's like, that's gold, baby. And you know, you just kind of have to fall into that. It's no different than I think like Family Guy where you're like, this is really funny. But after a while, you're just kind of like, this is like a 3-minute story arc with a whole bunch of like that's funnier than the time and then they just do a cutaway, you know, and after a while you're just like I'm not into this anymore, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, man. You know, when I was in video production, we talked to this lady who like the class we like did like a little thing with this lady over Zoom who was in California, and I don't remember what the show was, but she was like a reality TV editor. Oh, wow. And she described that process as like creating a Frankenstein. So like, you know, people think like when they do like the people who don't know better, I guess, when they see a reality TV show, they think like, oh, they're presenting to this as like, this is what happened. That's not all what it is. It's like they're taking footage. They're getting as much footage as they can. They have like 4 or 5 cameras. They're recording every damn thing that they can. Right. And then in the editing room, they will like put it together in any way they can to like make a cohesive storyline. Like it has nothing to do with like how they're actually the people actually are. Like they're not afraid to like like misportray people or whatever, right? And you know, in a way, I feel like that's kind of how, you know, we're talking about like how the reels and everything that I do, like it almost kind of feels like that in a way. I like to think more genuine, but like you are kind of crafting a Frankenstein in a way when you're doing all these social media things. And I guess I think that's where WWE almost has an edge over reality TV, where it's like, that's like you said, like it's scripted, it's raw, like you have one take. But like, I think that type of show has like shifted into like this massive, like, you know, TLC, what's the autistic one? I
don't know. What do you,
the reality TV show, it's like all the Love on the Spectrum.
There you go. I was gonna say they're dating.
Love on the Spectrum. Yeah, I hate that show. But you know, stuff like that. Like it's breeded this whole culture of it. And it's interesting to see. Like, you know, I wonder how many people actually realize what's going on, how many people take it at face value, or how many people kind of do what they do WWE, where like I'm gonna suspend my belief, but I'm just gonna take it at face value as entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, I mean, we do that with movies and TV shows anyways.
Yeah,
Why not just do it with, but again, I think there's a difference because like that 70s show didn't have like a thing at the beginning that, or like wasn't presented as like real. Like Eric Foreman wasn't a real guy, you know, like, and so when you watch pro wrestling, it's like, well, you can go see these guys live and they're real athletes and this is their real names. And you can go, you know, it's like, even, you know, there's a lot of stories about pro wrestlers like not disconnecting themselves from their characters anymore, and they're just like become this like Ric Flair is just Ric Flair now. You know, he's no longer Richard Fleer or whatever his name is. So I don't know. There's like a lot of that kind of stuff too. I wonder about that though. You brought up the video production school. Let's talk a little bit about that though. Like, I mean, it's a hard shift, but like why'd you go to a video production school? That's like the first thing. Like, was that, I mean, obviously you had a podcast, you were already doing some of this stuff anyways, but what was the end game?
The end game, which looking back was honestly kind of pointless. The end game was like, I was gonna like do a degree, because you know I worked my menial jobs, like I'm a cleaner, like I've worked at restaurants and stuff, and like going to DMAC to do video production was like kind of a way for me to say like, oh, like let me go get a certificate or an associate, which is what I ended up getting, to like go into the field and work and like actually make like a quote unquote legitimate income. And it was a great experience. Like overall, like I did really learn a lot. I did really learn a lot about like both the editing process and the production process that I think did improve my podcast and improved what I do. And I am really appreciative of that. I think part of the problem though is when you're trying to sell this like, you know, because if you're in LA, right, and or like New York, these like hubs of media, and you were like to sell like this, okay, here's this program where we're going to teach you all about this, and then like lo and behold, you're going to go out in the world and there's going to be people picking at you for jobs, right? That's not how it is in Iowa. In Iowa, it's like, all right, you can get a job either like basically doing what I do, or you're like doing the grind where you're like freelancing and you're like scouring online, trying to get as many editing jobs as possible. Or, I mean, you're working for like a news station, which is crazy hours. And, all, you know, me with my politics and my, you know, my need to be an individual and to be able to get my voice out and to not be beholden by, you know, whatever, right? Like, I have a really hard time with that. Like, I have a really hard time, like, working for the corporate media and like having to pretend to put something out or to compile something in a way that like I know is dishonest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big part of it for me. And, you know, I don't know. I think you just kind of get out into the world and well, first of all, I mean, it doesn't really pay that much better than like a menial job anyway. So you're like, okay, I could just do the menial job and then go home and do the podcast, or like, you know, do my game stream, right? And like get more public attention potentially than like if I was just, you know, some editor or some photographer for KCCI, right? Mm-hmm. So was it a bad experience? No. I do almost sometimes kind of wonder if I had not done it, if I would have almost been able to put more into it. Like if I had not been spending that time in school, mm-hmm. if I could just learn those same things on my own, because, you know, that's the thing. Like, I mean, so many of those classes, they would literally just pull up YouTube videos.
Yeah.
They'd literally be like, all right, here's a guy that's going to do my job teaching you how to run Premiere. And I'm like, well, why did I pay you? Like, why didn't I just go? Why did I just go find the video myself? Like, I guess there's something to like, you know, this person points you out the video. But I mean, you know, I think I graduated before the big AI, you know, burst. Like, just the, you know, ChatGPT and all that. Like, I think in this day and age, it's just kind of moronic, right? Like, you can just go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, give me 5 links, give me 10 steps or whatever to improve my editing. And that's right there. It's free, mm-hmm. right? So I think, and that's kind of an odd thing too, like how the media industry has formed to that and how split people are when it comes to the AI thing. Like a lot of people are embracing it. They're like, okay, this is a tool. I can create video, can create images, and I can streamline my ideas. And there are a lot of people who are really against it because their jobs are getting taken away. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting thing with it too.
Yeah. AI is such a weird thing because it's like, well, what happened when like computers came around? There's people whose jobs was to write crap down. Like those people's jobs went away. And like what happened when the car came around? Like there's people, their whole job was horses, and that, my job was scooping the poop off the street because that was like literally an actual job in every city. There was somebody that had that job. And that guy lost his job because Henry Ford had to make the Model T. What a dick, or what, but I don't know. So like, I do and don't feel bad for it. I look at it as like a tool. Like it's a thing that can like increase your productivity. So like you could still do the same job. You can just do it more efficiently. I don't know. That's kind of, I use AI in my job to an extent. I will say that like, boy, it's about 80% bang on. Sometimes it's horrible. Sometimes it's just like, this is not true. Or like I make AI shorts, sometimes it'll just like Frankenstein the conversation. It'll just pick stuff up from different parts of the hour and then mush it together to make like you and the guest saying something that wasn't even true. It's exactly like you're Frankensteining earlier. It just like, it's AI does that. And it's like, wait, what? Like, I guess if I were to post this, it would get a lot of attention because it looks like we're yelling at each other about nonsense. But like,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. I looked at that though too. Like, do you think that like having this video production and like the completion of a degree is just like extra tools in your toolbox to go get a different job though? Because like I didn't go to school for video production and I do podcast production as a job. So like I'm like the opposite of you basically. And I mean, but I also like, I do other things there too. So I have like I wear multiple hats at my job. So, but yeah, what do you think about that? Like, would you think about like trying to incorporate what you've learned into like something and just getting into like a cousin of the job? Like, I would never thought I'd be working in marketing, doing podcasts, but it works out. So, anything like that, like you ever think about going that route or not?
I have thought about it.
Or do you think the individuality thing would get in the way when you're trying to like push somebody else's ideas?
I think that's a big part of it for me. I think this is just me as a person. I'm just a stickler for that kind of stuff. Like, like I have a boss and whatever, right? I mean, I guess if dollars and cents came down to it, like, yeah, I probably would like, if I could do what I do now for someone else and make a lot of money, then there's probably a chance that I would, go to that, right? But I mean, I guess when it comes to like the idea of the degree, I think the problem is they sell it when they give you the degree, they sell it to you as that. They sell it to you as like, it's like the idea that like if you like accounting, right? Like if you want to be an accountant, you have to get a degree in accounting to like prove your value, right? And it kind of makes sense to an extent. But in the video world, that's not really the case. You like somebody can be uneducated and make a badass video surpasses a lot of people who, there were people I knew who graduated. I'm like, this isn't very good quality. And like, you're about to get the same degree that I am. Like, what the?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Because a lot of it is just like they're trying, like that institution is trying to justify their program.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and it's always going to look bad if they like take a group of people and then they have a line that's like what really should be in my mind or what the industry standard should be, but like very few people actually meet that expectation. That looks bad for them. So they're always going to default to like putting more people over the line almost arbitrarily. And also the big thing with video production is like it's subjective, right? Like,
oh yeah.
You could like, I mean, like accounting, there's like numbers and math in that, right? Like,
yeah, there's an answer.
There's the right answer.
There's one answer. It has to balance. That's it.
Exactly. But with the video, like I could make a really crappy video and somebody could love it and they'd be willing to pay X amount of dollars for it. And then I turn around and give that to someone else and they're like, this is shit. Like, I'm not going to pay you for this at all.
I didn't even think of that.
It's such a complex type of thing. And like, I think in the day and age of the internet, it just makes way more sense to like, you know what? Make your money as a side hustle. Like, if you want to go the route of somebody paying you, fine. But like, I don't know. Maybe this is just me as a person because like, I also directed my own things. Like I'm kind of a control freak in a way. Like if I'm going to put myself out there, I want it to be the way that I want it to be.
Yeah.
Whether that people like that or people hate it, whatever. Like that's what I want to be. And I think for me personally, it makes a lot more sense to take what keep learning if I need to from the internet or whatever, or AI or whatever, and just put myself out there.
Yeah.
Me, myself. Like maybe it's not as monetary as working for KCCI or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like I'd be able to look at myself in the mirror a little better.
Yeah. You'll look back at your body of work and be like, I'm proud of this,
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know why that never occurred to me that it's like art. It is art, obviously, but like, I was thinking like, oh yeah, you go into, whatever museum and there's just like this painting that's just like 400 shades of white just painted on itself over and over again. It's like, this is a $3.5 million painting. And you're like, what the crap are you talking about? Like that's exactly what you were describing. That's like what flashed in my head. The person that taped a banana to the wall. You remember that one?
God. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
have you seen the one where the guy, he has the stack of buckets of sand and then he just lets them fall and everybody's like,
what are we doing?
This is art.
Gosh, that guy got a degree,
Right.
Oh,
well, and that's the thing. Like, yes, art is technically subjective, but like, I also feel like there's an objective standard that like not everybody understands, but like most people understand. Like, if you watch a Quentin Tarantino movie and then you watch like a shitty Marvel whatever, like I feel like a lot of people are going to be able to tell the difference. Maybe they like both, but like they're going to be able to tell the difference and be like, okay, this is art and this is entertainment. And that's another thing too. Like think of how many like slop TV shows are out there that are just garbage.
All of them now.
Yeah. I mean, you go on Hulu or you go whatever app and you like are like, okay, I'm never going to watch that. I'm never going to watch that. I'm never going to watch that. Right. But like somebody has a job doing that. Like somebody spends all that time making those shows, editing it, producing it, getting in a writer's room, being like, okay, Nancy's going to have sex with Sid this week. And then next week, Nancy's going to find out it's just flop. It's just crap. But like, there is so much of it. And somehow all these shows like still operate and still work. And it's insane to me. But like that's the thing. I mean, there's so much room for just crap. So it's like, okay, why not just make my own crap? Right? Like if it's shit, like if I do a game stream and it's shit, like whatever. There's 10 other ones that are worse.
Yeah, it's not any worse than the Housewives of Upper East Side Milwaukee or whatever the hell they're on now. Like I guess that would put them out in Lake Michigan, wouldn't it? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, like you bring up a lot of really good points, and I guess I never really thought about it. But you did also bring something up. I remember you working on a movie at one point in time, or like a mini movie or something along those lines. You were looking for extras, looking for actors and things like that. Did anything ever come of that?
No. So, the thing that they always say, like the first thing that you need when it comes to a movie is money. It's like the first thing you need. Like you literally can't do anything without money. Like you can find all the volunteers in the world, but like you still need equipment. You still need. And first of all, I mean, you're not going to, it's extremely hard to find actors who are like willing to do it without pay. And not only that, but who are willing to be like consistent without pay. Like, cause if you just find some guy who, likes the idea and he's like, oh, hey, I'll be in this. But like, then shooting day comes and they're like, oh shit, the babysitter called in. I can't really make it. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be a lot different than like, paying someone to be like, okay, this is a job. I'm going to pay you to be here, etc. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of times I tried to, start funding or whatever, but I think at the end of the day, there was a lot of people behind it that really thought it was a good idea, but there just wasn't enough substance to like really get it off the ground running. And to this day, I get people asking me about it. They're like, hey, are you gonna make this movie? Hey, any news on this movie? I have to tell him like, yeah, no, it's dead, dude. Like, if you want to make it, I'll give you the script. I'll give you everything I have. I still have it in the file folder. Like, run wild with it. But like, it got to a point where it's stressful too.
Oh,
it's extremely stressful. Like trying to direct and produce this whole thing and getting like, I'm messaging like 20, 30 different people, like trying to make all this work. And like, there was a guy that like, we were going to shoot like half of the movie at his farm. And then like, it came to like a month before we were supposed to shoot. And I messaged him. He's like, yeah, man, I'm moving. I'm just not going to have the farm anymore. And like, I was going on Facebook groups. I was going online. I was like talking to friends and like everything. And like finding the locations is one of the hardest things. Also, I think a big part of it was like, there were several scenes where we wanted to smoke cannabis, but like obviously since it's illegal in Iowa, we would have to use tobacco, or like a fake tobacco equivalent. And that's also really difficult because you have to like be able to find somewhere indoors that's like willing to let you do that while filming, that like, you know, they're going to like leave a smell or whatever. Like there were just so many things that like were just hurdles, and ultimately I was just like, you know what, I think I'm just going to do the podcast. Like, I think, you know,
I mean, that's a big freaking project to be like, I'm going to make a movie. And it's like, well, a whole movie. Like I know people that have made like 3, 5, 7, 15-minute shorts, you know, and even some of those, like I remember somebody making one that was like just about a half an hour, and it took them like basically like a year to get the whole thing done. And they were still like shooting stuff while they were like, they knew the event for the unveiling was at this day, and they were still shooting stuff. And it's like, holy crap, like still shooting and re-editing. And it's like, oh man, this is wild. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. One thing I was going to ask you, like going to video production school, how important, what was one of the most important things you learned? I would assume like, you know, like putting the camera at this angle versus that angle, or like having a shot framed this way or that way, or like there's one thing I can honestly think like is probably the thing I'm hoping you're going to mention, but like, was there one thing that they were like, this is actually more important than you think it is?
That's a good one.
Yeah, like what was the one thing when you like left class one day you were just like, all right, I'm changing that when I go to my home studio, or when I get to like the video place I go record? Like where was like the one thing you were like, yeah, I'm changing?
You know what, Peter? I actually didn't learn anything there. I
was hoping you were going to say lighting, because I was like, I always hear from people like video production people.
I did learn a lot about lighting.
The video production people I talk to, it's like always the thing I pick their brain on, because they're always just like, yeah, it's the worst part. It's like the thing you always have to like double and triple check and move a couple times and be like, okay, how does it look this way instead? And you got to get different angles because it doesn't always look the same on the camera as it does in your eye. And just, I don't know. That was the one I always heard, but.
Well, you know what's interesting about lighting? I can't remember the cinematographer's name. Deakins, maybe. He did a lot of like Coen Brothers movies and stuff. But one of the things he always said is, because I think a lot of times when people film stuff, they really try to avoid shadows. Yeah. But like his thing was always like, you know, in real life there are shadows. You know what I mean? True. Like, I guess you can even see kind of moving maybe that like I have a shadow behind me. You know, like you're never gonna get away. I mean, this is pretty good lighting right here, but like you're always like, oh shit, like the wall, or I'm backwards, so the wall, right? Like the wall has a shadow on it, right? Like, but like you're not gonna notice that unless you're like one of these like as long as it doesn't like break the fourth wall, right? Yeah. One thing, okay, here's one piece of advice that has really stuck with me is, you can get past bad video, but you cannot get past bad audio. Like if you have a movie and like there's like a mic in there that you can't like, that like somebody like, it's not gonna, or like something weird is like outplaced there, like most people aren't gonna notice it. But if you have bad audio, like if like you're watching a movie and then you like just someone like interjects like some audio thing where it's like they recorded on a phone, on like a shitty phone, and the quality is shit, like everybody's gonna lose, like the suspended belief is gonna be completely shattered. Yeah, like the audio is like one, and I think that was especially important in podcasting, right? Like I mean, I remember, I mean, this is just for me, I guess, but like there would be episodes where like something would be off about the audio, or like there was one episode I remember like the guy brought his girlfriend and like the girlfriend is like talking to Molly the whole episode. And like it was one of those situations where I was like, it's like I don't want to be rude, but like at the same time, she is like ruining the fucking episode.
Yeah. That's
and, like I thought back and I'm like, I should have told her.
yeah.
And like now, if that happened, I'd be like, okay, ma'am, please.
Yeah. I mean, there's
If you want to come off as a dick, I don't care. Like it needs to be.
yeah. Go to the entryway and do that, or whatever.
Go outside.
Yep. Yeah, dude, those are also like hard lessons you have to learn, because I mean, like,
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I recorded something. It's like, well, the audio on this episode sucks. Well, who cares? We'll put it out anyway. Like it's happened, and it sucks when you change audio equipment. Like I had a setup that was literally, my podcast was audio only, and so like I took extra special care of the audio. And then when I did video, like video production was the least, I didn't care about it. And now I've like flip-flopped where it's like, I don't know, as long as the audio's on it and it's good enough, it's good. But there are times where like, and this is going to sound crazy, like I use an AI software to help me make reels and stuff like that. And every now and then it'll just be like, your audio is not good enough. We're going to enhance it. And then it's like this. And it'll do that. Like, and it's like, what the heck are you doing? And then you have to go back through and turn it off and re-edit it down. And it's just like, and then sometimes they go online and you're like, yeah, this sounds like crap when I uploaded it because the stupid AI editor thought that audio wasn't good enough when it actually was fine. And now it's like just peaking. It's just like a solid, like dark orange line the whole time. And you're like, neat. That's really cool. So there are times where like audio, yes, very important. Like that's,
Well,
you think about reels too. Like reels are that way. You can watch crappy video all day long. And as long as the audio is good, you're like, I don't care.
I was just gonna say, and that's the thing that's so weird about the podcast world, is like it was such a I mean it still is, but like always an audio driven format. But like what's the thing that gets people to your podcast? It's the clips.
Yeah.
Like so many people, like you put out an episode, 1, 2, 3 hours. So many people will listen to less than a minute of that.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the clips. And like you could say in a way like, oh, it kind of bastardizes it. Like, fine, maybe there's an argument for that, but like, I don't know. At the same time, like markets steer in certain ways, and like if you wanna, succeed in this world, you kind of gotta go with it, right? It's like what we were talking about earlier with the cars, right? Like if the car guy invents and you're like, no, I'm gonna make sure I keep my horse business. It's like, okay, fine, like you can do that, but like, you're going to get left in the dust, buddy.
Yeah.
Literally. That's hilarious.
That's classic.
But yeah. That's how it goes, man. Like, and that's like these people that just kind of like sit and like, I feel the same way. Like, I feel bad for them, but I also don't. Because I think when you look at like these technologies, like even when people lose their jobs to these new emerging technologies, they also benefit off them.
Yeah.
So even if you get laid off as an artist or whatever, like there's still going to be another component in your life where you use AI and it's going to benefit your life in some way.
True.
Even like if you're trying to find another job and you're like, hey, I need help with a resume. ChatGPT, write me a cover letter. Here's my job experience. Make me a resume, right? And people can think like, oh, that's cheating. Like, no, that's just the way the world is going, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can either be the stick in the mud who's like, hey, I'm going to do it this way and not for whatever reason, X, Y, Z, right? Or you can be the guy who's going to figure it out and succeed in this environment.
Yeah.
And I want to be the second person.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. I never really thought about that you're going to benefit off it later, because every one of those inventions, the internet, like everything, everybody benefited off of it later, even if it cost them their job. The horse guy now, yeah, he lost his job breeding horses, but guess what? Now he can call a cab, and that cab can drive him into town 28 times faster than a horse, and he can look for jobs. No, I don't know. I'm trying to be like callous about it.
No, but for real though, I mean, like you're saying that jokingly, but like that's actually how it works.
Yeah.
Like the same people who like, bitch about these technologies, then they later like end up kind of caving and using it, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing.
This is crazy.
It makes everybody's lives easier. Like, would you really rather, for like some moral thing or whatever, be still doing horse and buggy? Like, no, that's stupid. Like, what? You're never, it's going to take you a week to go visit your aunt? Like, no, you're going to want to drive. And like, that's not selfish. That's not greedy. That's just practical. It makes everybody, like, you have that connection with your aunt, or like, you know, it's easier for you to go to your job, and then like you make more money from that job, and you supply, you know, your family with whatever because of that. Like, these things all help everyone. And like, I that's just my belief on it. Like, I think people who, I mean, sorry, like it makes me sound like a dick, but I think people who are kind of like that are just whiny. They're just whiny, and they kind of just want things handed to them in a sense. Like these artists who are like bitching about AI, like I get a lot of flack for this, but like, I think they just need to shut up. Just go with it. Like, yeah, the AI is doing better than you. Like, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe instead of trying to fight it, maybe, hey, the AI can make a painting. Maybe I should like create an account that like puts out all these AI paintings, and like I actually utilize that, or like I can make videos, or I can like even do tutorials and like how to do it. Like, there's so many ways that like you can still work with it, but
That's
you
true.
want to just stay in your lane, you know?
Yeah, I think some of that is people just don't know how to use the new thing to a way that's to their advantage.
Sure.
You know, and it could
fair.
also be they're set in their ways. You know, there's a lot of people that are just like, this is the way I've always done it. I'm just not going to change, you know? And
Yeah.
I get that. I was always just like, I'll never have anybody there'll never be an ad on Audible Farm. Well, that lasted, 80 episodes. And it's just like, I'm never going to do video. And well, that lasted until I got a Patreon. And it's like, the video is always going to cost money. Well, that happened until I relaunched it and actually wanted people to see it. It's like, I'm never making clips until I started just literally, this is crazy because I have this as kind of a question for later, but like we were talking long form versus short form. And so like there's podcasts that I will consume the full hour every time.
Yeah.
All the time. There's about 10 of them, 10 or 11 that I'm always, every time an episode comes out, I always listen. But then this is freaking weird because I never thought about it till now. There's about 10 that I listen to only the clips. I go to their Facebook page or their Instagram or their whatever, and I just go to the clips because they're going to post 6 clips from the episode that was last month anyways. And that's how they get the viewers to, okay, the viewers have trickled off. Let's post some clips to see if we can get people to go over and start re-listening to this older content. So like, that's the game they're playing. But like, I will sit there and wait, and I'll just be like, yeah, I'll get 6 minutes out of this hour, and it's probably the 6 best minutes, and it's good, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to sit and listen to the rest of it, but like, there's a handful, and I never realized I was doing that until now. There's a handful of podcasts I listen to, and that's the only way I intake them is through the clips. So like that, we're talking about like, well, we want to, you got to listen to the episode, but it's like, why not make the clips if that's all that somebody wants to listen to? They just want to get, it's no different than like reading the headlines on the news and not reading the whole article, but I guess you're not supposed to judge the cover by the book, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But still, like, wow, that's eye-opening because I never thought of it like that. And you were like one of the first people I know that was like, I have a podcast. It is my own vision, and this is what I'm doing, and I'm making clips. And you were like one of the first people, and I was just like, whatever, And then I started like going to your YouTube channel and looking at some of them. And like, some of these have thousands of views. Some of these have multiple thousands of views. And I was just like, oh, maybe this is the way to go, like,
Yeah.
might have missed out on
better
this.
or worse.
Yeah, so I don't know. I missed out on that one, and that was one where like I was the person that was like, I'm not doing this, and then I was finally like, I'll do it, I'll try it, and now I work for a marketing company, and that's like one of my only jobs all day long, and I've amassed like millions of YouTube views. I've eclipsed 1 million in the last year through like 6 channels, but like some of those channels are like months old, like 2 or 3 months old. Some of them only have like 4 or 5 videos that I've like pieced apart and made clips out of. So give and take, some of those are running all year long, but still, like, I do want to say that was like one of the coolest things, like seeing you in short form, like you still pop up, you still like on my feed, like regardless of how much of like your full form content I watch, I still see a lot of your clips, and they're still like, I'm going to be honest, like every now and then I'm just like, this is gold. And every now and then I'm just like, what the hell is he doing? Like, and that's why I feel like that's why you're doing it though, is just to be like, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's just kind of a simple matter of like what the content is, like the value that it brings. Like I think of like TV shows, right? Like there are some TV shows that like I would never sit down and watch through the whole thing again. But like or like a movie or whatever. But like sometimes I'll like get those clips on my reels where like it'll just be like a clip of something. I'll be like, oh, this is great. You know, here's a good example. Have you ever seen the movie Vanilla Sky?
I never have actually.
Don't waste your time. It's
Okay.
not very good.
I'll listen to the Confused Breakfast episode.
There we go. That
probably
would
did
be
it.
way more valuable. But like that was a movie where like I just kept seeing these clips in my feed, and I was like, and the clips looked really interesting. Like there were like these 30-second, 2-minute clips. I was like, oh, this like the cinematography looks good. Like this looks actually like a really complex thing. So then like I was like, okay, fine, I'll actually sit down and watch the movie, and it was like garbage. It was just a shit movie. Like it just was like it was how I would describe it. It was like a romantic comedy trying to be like a thriller drama, and it just didn't work. I guess not like the worst movie in the world, but like it was not at all what the clips would amount to be.
Okay.
And there are definitely podcasts that I think where it's like, you know, especially when it gets into like the 2-3 hour things. Like here, Kill Tony is a really good example. I don't know if you listen to that show.
I have. It's not one it's a clip. That's a clips one for me.
Yes. And it's the same for me too. Like that used to be a show where I would listen to it a lot. Like I would sit through and listen to the whole thing. But like, it's kind of one of those things that like, you know, gets repetitive. You're like, okay, like it's kind of the same thing every episode. So then like my attention turns towards, you know, maybe more political podcasts, or maybe there's other comedy podcasts I like, but like I still find some kind of entertainment value like out of those clips.
Yeah.
Like there's still something like, okay, well, like this week, like this happened. Right. And like, oh, this guy did this like minute stand-up bit and that was pretty funny. But like that's not going to be enough for me to like go back to the episode, but that's also fine, you know, because I'm enjoying it. The people who are making the Kill Tony people, like they're making they're getting views and revenue off that, you know, like it helps everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just, you know, people like different things and there's different value to different things, you know, like you can read a novel and get a lot of value out of that, or you can read or, you know, watch YouTube videos. Like everything has a place, right? Like everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with realizing that and trying to succeed in the world with that. And, you know, that's almost like where I have had to like kind of let go some of that, right? Like some of my vision, where I've had to really be like, okay, like I need to be willing to let this rigid vision of my thing go and like work with the tide a little bit. Like focus more on the clips. You know, maybe, you know, like with the political stuff, like, hey, you know, do more of the gaming streams, and those have really taken off, right? And like, it's not like I'm beholden to these things. It's not like I'm, you know, I have no free will and I'm just like doing what the algorithm wants me to. But like, it's simply just like seeing like, hey, you know, like this thing works, this thing doesn't. Let's adjust to it.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about like video production. I think that's a big lesson that I learned in that is like learning what works, learning what doesn't, rolling with it. And really just like kind of like, you're not here to make your perfect Picasso exactly how you want it. Like there's a lot of gears, there's a lot of engines going, and you just got to kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get that. No, totally. I mean, like, so this is something weird. This might be not a good question, but like, how does like, I understand like having been on podcasts, you can kind of like ask the question or say the thing or kind of like gear up to know that you're actually, this is probably something that either my AI is going to clip or I will clip later because I'm keying it up in a fashion that is as such. Is it as easy to do that gaming? Like, I feel like gaming would be a completely different monster than podcasting because you have to like play the game and then like commentate on the game, and that like both have to be either entertaining or funny or one or the other at any given. Like, is it harder to do that?
I don't know if it's harder. It's definitely a different beast though.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a different beast because podcast is like you do it all and then you kind of put it out and then you'll like take clips from it. Whereas like when I do the game stream, there's like kind of the, you know, there's like the idea of like, okay, I'm going to like stream for 2, 3, 4, 10 hours, whatever. Right. And that like, that's a piece of media. Like, and that's going to be more like people are going to tune in live. They're going to tune, they're going to check in, then they're going to dip out, and that's fine. And then later, I have to take that piece of media and I have to compress it into like, I mean, I don't have to do this, but this is just to make content. Like I compress it to like a 2, 3, 5, 10-minute clip. And that's just like a clip. That's like the best moments. It's like me doing funny commentary, or it's me doing my shtick or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's the shorts. So like then I'm taking that clip that I made, and then I'm taking parts of that clip and putting into short. And it's like it's an immense amount of content. Like I think that's the thing I've gotten benefit from more than anything is like it is a lot of work to get to there, but once you have actually done the work of editing it, you have like 10 reels.
Yeah.
And like that's like a week and a half, 2 weeks worth of content right there.
Yeah. Just
from like, doing the stream and then spending probably about the same amount of time you take on the stream plus a little more, like editing it all together. And you can do the same thing with a podcast, but like there's something about podcasts where it's just not like when you're watching a game stream, this is kind of technical, but like when you're editing, you know how there's like the audio, there's like the bumps in the audio.
Yeah.
You can there's like ways you can like track it and be like, oh, there's a lot of activity here, so I'm going to clip this. Oh, there's a lot of activity here, so I'm going to clip this. And it kind of streamlines the process. But like podcasting, you either have to like put it into AI and like have the text read out and like read through it, or you have to actually sit down and listen to it.
Yeah.
And I think like this last episode we did, I did one clip because I remembered something that was interesting from the episode. So then I clipped that up, and then I was re-listening to the whole episode today at work, and I was like, oh, okay, here's 2 or 3 other places that I could like pull a clip from, and it'll be really good, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is definitely a different animal, but I don't know. It's a different animal, but it's also similar in a lot of ways, but it's definitely more digestible, I think.
Yeah.
To do stuff. Because, first of all, because it has more mainstream appeal. Like, if I'm playing a game that everybody likes, there's 2 parts, right? Like, it's me, and then it's the game. Whereas, like, if I'm doing a podcast and I'm ranting about, anarchism or how much Kim Reynolds sucks or whatever, like, that's its own thing. And that's going to be a narrower audience.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot more people that care about Skyrim that care about Iowa politics or whatever. I don't know if Skyrim's even a game anyone plays anymore. It's like probably
people do.
Okay.
People do.
Okay. I'm not completely off the map.
You're not that old, Peter.
I feel like it sometimes.
Me too, man.
Dude, video game streaming and that's another thing. Like I'll see the clips of you video game streaming, and it's funny because like you'll be playing Red Dead Redemption with like a cowboy hat on and like a bandana over your face because you're like the rebel, and it's just like this is freaking hilarious. Like I feel like that there's a part of that with you where it's like you're doing this thing to just be a character, and it's not supposed to be meant like to be taken seriously, but it's like there because it's for a reason. I don't know how to describe it. So like a good example of this would be if you scroll down below, you click on the Facebook link, you click follow for the McAllister Hours. The pinned post you have there is like you in a do-rag with like about $7 in ones, and you have a gun. And it's just like, I don't know. Oh, don't flag me for saying that, but it's still like it's funny because it's just like the point is like it's a joke. Like, this is not serious stuff, and that's why it's funny. And I feel like I get the joke, and I feel like the people that comment like this guy's dumb, like those are the people that you don't get the joke. And I mean, like, I don't know, maybe they don't need to get the joke. Cast them aside. It's just weird the way the internet reacts to some of this stuff, where you think like I'm gonna go down this power band of thing that everyone is like keying in on, and then it just like you get this weird backlash. But I feel like everyone's gonna backlash on everything nowadays. A good example of that would be like, I'm not trying to like pigeonhole anyone, but I feel like older people are starting to become the thing that they've like hated for so long. Where they're just like, why are you always on your phone? You don't believe everything you say on the internet and all this other stuff. And then you go to a train station or you go to a restaurant or whatever, and it's old people looking at their phones the whole time. And then they're just like, they'll like send you something like, should I give all my information to this person that text messaged me something? And it's just like, no. And they're like, well, I saw online that Kim Reynolds, she was the one responsible for 9/11. It's like that. No, like everything on the internet's not real. You've been telling me this forever, and now it's like everything's flip flopped, and it's. I feel like a lot of the negativity now is coming like backwards, where it used to go forwards. It used to be young people like yelling at old people, and now I feel like the internet has flip flopped to like older people yelling at young people. Now it's like just it's no different than like growing up, you know.
No, like everybody's grandpa and grandma's like a political pundit now. Like you just like
kind of, yeah.
Like, I remember I visit some old people and they're like, "Do you like Trump?" I'm like, "No." Okay, good. Well, try it, you know. And they like give you their whole spiel, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Like I don't. This never happens with anybody my age, and it's because of that same thing. It's because like I mean, some people sure, but like for the majority of like people our age, like we're not like instantly just like attacking people, but like what party do you like, what candidate, like it's insane, dude. And it's exactly that. It's because they're on Facebook all fucking day. They're on Facebook,
that's true.
they're in groups, like they literally will like go on people's posts and like message people on the post, and you're like, what are you doing, dude? But like that's just how they understand it. And I didn't even think about it like that, how like it's flipped in that way. Because you're totally right. Like it was the same group of people who are like, don't believe everything that's on your phone. Don't believe everything on the computer. Now they believe everything that's on their phone. Well, everything that's on Facebook, you know?
I also feel like that kind of behavior you had, like, I'm going to comment on everything, and irregardless of whether or not it matters, and my opinion matters, and then if I'll just message them directly or what, you know, and I feel like it's like y'all missed the boat on Twitter in 2015. That was Twitter. That was how you did Twitter in 2015. You just yelled at everyone all the time, and you just tagged people directly, you know, like you could yell at Oprah and like she would see it, you know, or whatever, you know, maybe she wouldn't, but you know, you get what I'm saying, you know, like that's just kind of how everyone's acting on, I don't know. I always thought like people doing Twitter on Facebook was like one of my least favorite things. Now that's like all it is, you know. I mean, granted, now it's all just sponsored ads and crap. No, but I don't know. It's unfortunate the way that's kind of all gone, because it's like social media is not really any fun anymore compared to the way it used to be, I guess. And like there's a lot of platforms. It's like I would never use this platform. You know, like I'm not a TikTok guy, so I'm not on there much. But I do find myself like intaking stuff the way that TikTok created and pushed it to other platforms. You know, like I'm watching the reels and stuff. You know, and I'm finding myself actually spending more time, like in my free time, probably on YouTube than anything now, which is like wild, because 10 years ago I was like, these dang YouTube kids, all they do is watch the YouTube, and now I'm like, now that's what I am. It's like flip-flopped. You know? I don't know.
No, I agree, man. You know, I think like our age demographic typically is more on YouTube than anything else, and it's kind of funny because like, I mean, I guess my fiance is the same age demographic, but a lot of women and a lot of younger people do tend to center on TikTok. And it's funny, I actually got banned from TikTok.
Oh wow.
Believe it or not. Like I didn't even like use it that much, but like one day I tried to log into my TikTok account, and it was like, yeah, your account's been permanently banned. Whoa. And they didn't give me a reason. They didn't tell me like, oh, this is the clip that like, I mean, there have been some times where I've posted some controversial shit and they like removed it or flagged it or whatever, but like they didn't give me like an exact reason. Like they just at one point they did a sweep, and they were like, okay, this guy, we don't like it.
Dude, there's
I have a raw relationship with TikTok.
There's like one guy in a warehouse, and he's just at a laptop all day long, like, God damn it, Coleman posted again. And he's just like, oh, just sweating all day, like I gotta get the hand on the edit button all day long. If this guy,
no, it's probably a monkey in China. That's probably what it is. He probably
AI.
hit the wrong switch.
Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly what it really is AI.
Yeah,
it's just them putting it through a filter.
That's horrible. Oh man. So we're getting close to the end here. I usually try to keep these about an hour, but as you and I usually go, we could probably talk forever. I think our last episode was an hour, 2 hours. It was almost 2 hours exactly. That's wild.
An hour and 15 minutes of Peter talking about politics. Still one of my greatest feats as a podcaster.
If you guys want to go hear it.
Yes.
If you guys want to actually hear me say a solid opinion for once in my life, because it's not going to happen on this podcast for the most part. I don't ever let my opinions out on this one for the most part. But I did.
Half solid. But
I do on your podcast because I know it's okay. So that's the platform to do it, and that's where I go do it. Let's get down to the bottom here, because I got some stuff down here on the bottom. What did I write down here? Okay, so we talked about comments from crazy people on shorts, and we talked about how they're beneficial. We talked about your video production and the movie that did not get made. If somebody wants to make that, hit him up. He's got the.
Please, I would love to see that movie.
Yeah, we talked about your podcast, why it went away. Let me ask you, why'd you bring it back? Was there a reason that you brought the podcast back? You just had like the time, I'm assuming, because I'm assuming when you were going video production school, trying to make a movie, dumping all your time and energy and money into that, it probably was that why the McAllister Hours took a hiatus for a while, or was it you're just more energy into the other podcast?
I think that was a lot of it too, is I was putting a lot of energy into that podcast as well. But yeah, I think it was a lot of burnout. It was a lot of burnout doing two different podcasts. And as much as we talk about like me having edgy opinions or having, putting my whatever out there, right? Like it can be really stressful. It can really like put a lot of weight on you, like emotional weight, mental weight. Like there are really sometimes where like, because for those who don't know, like I am an anarchist, which means like it's a very rigid ideology, basically means like no government, etc. And like that single premise like really upsets a lot of people. Like, because a lot of people rely on the system. They think it's a positive system for the most part. Even if there's flaws, they're like, okay, everybody still needs it, et cetera, right? And I think there have been a lot of periods of my life where I've really, like, sat back and been like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I just an asshole for, like, really thinking that, like, this is so wrong, but, like, all these people tell me the other way? Like, it kind of fucks with your head. You put something out there, you put a clip out there, you get 20 bad comments, everybody's disliking it, right? And I mean, even people don't like attack me directly, like you can't help but wonder, like, okay, is there something that like I'm missing? Like, is there some like thing in like my moral compass that I'm like completely missing, and like I'm just like not acting morally, or I don't have like a moral point of view? And like I do care. Like, there's a reason why I have that worldview. Is because I care. Is because I think that thing is actually what causes harm. And a lot of people disagree with that. That's fine. But that's like my steadfast belief. And so I think it's really difficult when you have that and you're getting told over and over. And not just people online. Like, I talk to friends, I talk to loved ones, and they tell me the same. They don't necessarily tell me like I'm a bad person or anything, but like they give their spiel about it, and I kind of walk away like, okay, am I the bad guy? Like, am I really like this selfish guy who really, you know what I mean?
No, but these are the people that are like, grandma, the propaganda machine on Facebook just spewing garbage about whatever side she believes is looking at you and be like, because you made a YouTube video, I hate you because you let your opinion out, but I can post all I want about President A or Vice President B or ex-President Z or whatever.
Yeah.
And whatever, like, I don't know. I just view that as two different things. I will say your moral compass, there's nothing wrong with it, because here's an example of something I found. When you manage 6, 7, 8, 9 podcasts, when you do the social media, when you do all the YouTube channels and you check and manage all the comments for that, it does not matter how positive you are being. Somebody's going to get on there and just be like, you're horrible people. And here's the best example I could find of that. So one of the podcasts I manage, I'm not going to name it. Everyone could probably, if you know who I am and you find it, it's easy. They had interviewed somebody at a homeless shelter, somebody that helps run a homeless shelter, a private homeless shelter that's funded privately and takes donations, etc., but it's like not beholden to any government money. And they want to run it that way because it's easier for them to do what they want to do there than it is if they take the handouts, they got to do what the handouts ask them to do. So that's why they run it that way. And they're explaining things about how they run things there, and different statistics on homelessness and things that they're helping out with, etc., etc. And the comments are literally like, there's literally a comment on there from somebody that's like, this is bull crap. Where I live, I'm homeless, and I live in a hotel, and the only place I can go out to eat is the 7-Eleven down the street because I don't have a car. And it's just like, you're this homeless person that has the internet and lives in a motel because that's cost efficient somehow. Like, the whole thing just doesn't make sense. It's like, you're mad that somebody else has a homeless shelter when you're homeless yourself. Like, that is the problem with what the world has right now. Like, I don't necessarily agree with the whole like blah blah handouts, this, that, and the other, whatever. But like for somebody to get mad at somebody that's in the same position as them because they're doing something to better themselves, that's the thing that I hate the most about the internet. Is it's like, why don't you go do something? You know, like why don't you go do? I mean, like that is obviously like life in general. There's so many people that are just like, how come nobody gave me a whole bunch of stuff? It's like because you didn't really need it, I guess. I don't know. You didn't ask. I don't know. I don't know. But like just sitting there and yelling about it's not going to help anything. Like we got to ask questions that are like pertinent to the issues and find out ways where was the shortfall in this. Let's ask these questions. And that's like one of the things I like about what you're doing is it's like you're basically just like the water's dirty. Like what happened? What are we going to do about it? You're just going to let it go? And we're just going to sweep this under the rug like nothing. I just have to boil it. You know, like why? Like what are the other options? Can we find some other, you know, like these are questions you're asking that nobody else ever wants to ask. And it's just people get online, they see a clip and they're just like keyboard warrior nonsense. And that bothers me so much about the internet. But I will say definitely keep powering through it. Cause I'll post videos where it's just like the most innocuous opinion on like a band and people are just like, yeah, you're horrible. This band was the greatest. I saw him in '82 with the Meadowlands. And it's like, whatever. I don't care. Like I get it, but I don't know.
Well, I really appreciate those words, man. Truly. You know, I think a big part of it too, and this isn't me trying to say that like I am this like really smart or logical person, but like I do tend to, this is just me in life in general, but like I do tend to take apart things logically and think about them step by step and logically. And I really do try to take as much emotion out of it as I can because what I always say is emotion trumps logic every time.
Oh yeah.
You can give, like I could sit down with somebody for like Peter. No, I'm kidding. I could sit down with somebody for like an hour or 2 hours and completely lay out like my whole stance. Like this is why this is wrong. This is why this would be a better option. And a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times people will just say, but I feel like this is not right because this is what I feel like is right. And you can't fight with that. You literally cannot fight. Like that's a non-sequitur. Like the conversation's over at that point. Like, okay, well, we just disagree on that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a majority of people, and that's and B, a majority of the internet. I mean, and think about how you're consuming these things, right? Like you're at work, you're sitting in the toilet or whatever, and you're like fucking scrolling through your phone, and then somebody like me comes up and it's like taxation is theft. You're like, oh well. I have a grandma who lives off welfare. I have 2 kids and I get tax benefits from that. Like, no, fuck you. Like, I should get that. Right. And like, that's like, even if I were to like go through the phone and like sit and talk with that person about like, okay, like, this is why I disagree with that. They're going to still feel that way because they rely on that in some degree. And everybody relies on it to some degree, right? Like I do. Like, even in the position I am, like, I still have to drive to work. I still use roads. Like there's still things that like there's no way that I can get around that, right? So like I get to a degree, but like it's just kind of like how much you use it, right? Like you can either use it for what's necessary and what's minimal, or you can expand it like an accordion and just eat it all up, right?
Yeah.
So and it's hard because there isn't really a position to justly like criticize that person, even if they should be criticized. And, it's a hard thing. It's hard to take emotion out of the picture. And I think a lot of times people will just default to that because it's easier.
Yeah. You said it there basically in 2 sentences. Like you can't really discredit this person for feeling a certain way because their feelings are in some capacity valid. But at the same time, you can't really just argue with them over it either. So it kind of just nullifies the whole thing. I definitely, everybody feels a way for a reason. I feel like our conversation was like one of my favorites again, because it's like I came apart. It's not like I agreed with you when I left, but it's like you made me at least like not disbelieve what I was thinking, but you made me at least like go look in the mirror again and be like, wait, how do I feel about this? Like it turned what it was a black and white thing into a gray thing, and that's what the world actually is just a whole bunch of gray, and there's not actually a black and a white side. It's like that's not how things work. Almost nothing is definitive, and when something is definitive, like you said, sometimes somebody's just like, yeah, but this one time this one thing happened and now I don't ever do XYZ, and bam, now their opinion is just trumped all this logic and they're just going to do it anyways. There's a lot of people that do that with basically anything with has to do with our health. There's so many people that are health destructive with like either food habits, eating, drinking, smoking, whatever it happens to be. And there's just like, I don't care. I'm doing this anyways. So like, I don't know. It makes me wonder why people die on the hills they die on, but so many of us have those hills that we don't even realize we're up there dying on them too, for whatever reason we would ever choose to do that. It's just human nature, I guess.
Well, and I think how you came away from that conversation is the best case scenario that you could ever have with someone who's like disagreeing with you. Like if they can come away from that conversation and be like, at least rethink their ideal, like that's prime. Because you don't want to like completely change their mind, because then that person doesn't really have a true sense of themselves or moral truth, or like they're just like, it's like the guy who flips on the channel and like somebody tells him, oh, okay, I agree with everything he said, and that's going to be my viewpoint. Like you don't want that either. Mm-mm. So like to have that, like to have a conversation, like if I can have a conversation with somebody, and I can do that, if I can at least make them think and be like, okay, like if that conversation steers them closer to how I feel, I've done my job.
Nice.
That's the best thing you can hope for.
All right. So as we round this podcast off, let's do a little less thinking. I got some quick fire, easy peasy questions for you here. What's your favorite thing about podcasting?
I think putting my voice out. Delving what I think is truth. I think that's the most important. I had like a therapy thing and recently, and my therapist was shocked. I was like, I'd rather be truthful than happy, and she thought that was insane. But like, that's just how I am. Like, I want to speak the truth. I want to give my opinion, and not even my truth. Like, I want to have people sit down and tell their truth, right? Like, that's the thing I think I love most about podcasting, for sure.
I actually weirdly agree with what you just said. I'd rather like know the truth than just like blindly be happy and just be like, oh, whatever.
Yes.
I don't know.
Thank you.
What's your least favorite thing about podcasting?
Having guests bail on me.
Yeah, that happens.
I think that shit pisses me off, because here's the thing, like you're literally wasting my time.
Yeah,
you're literally wasting my time. Like you're telling me that my time isn't valuable. And that's bullshit. You don't know me. You don't know what I do.
That's true.
Maybe my time is not valuable, but like at least like put the benefit of the doubt out.
Yeah.
Maybe don't like say, hey, I want to do your podcast, and then like I'm sitting there for a half hour, 2 hours. What the fuck's going on with this guy? And either he never responds, or he like gives some like, oh hey, yeah, can we reschedule for like, no, dude, fuck you. I'm not doing that.
Dude,
there's a window. You missed it. That's the way the world works.
I got that way when I was originally doing Audible Farm, because like I was going to school like 2 hours south of where I lived and working an hour northwest of where I lived, and I was doing the podcast basically in the middle of all of this and trying to like parse all that stuff. I had small windows that worked, and now I have a little more free time, so I'm a little bit more okay with it. But also, nobody's canceled on me since I relaunched the podcast, so
that's awesome.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, everybody. Yes, that is definitely painful though, when you're just like sitting at the computer like, are we doing this thing or not? You're like, I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, well, it's worse when you're having them at majority of my podcasts are like in my house, in my studio. Mm-hmm. So like I'm literally sitting in my studio, getting everything set up, the lights, the camera, everything, and I'm just sitting there waiting. I'm like
sitting on the couch,
like
looking out the window.
Yeah. Well, like even the time that I'm waiting, so that's wasted. But on top of that, all the time that I set up, and then at the time that I then inevitably tear it down, like that's wasted. Like I could have done something with fiance. I could have taken a walk. Like there are plenty of things. Like this is my free time. I have a job. Like there are plenty of things I could have done in that time.
Could have done nothing. It would have been
exactly.
more productive.
But because you're indecisive and can't communicate, you ruined my day. So fuck you.
Yeah. You have recorded elsewhere though. Where's the coolest place you've recorded?
The coolest place. There's been too damn many.
I remember, did you do an episode once like in the press box at like the iCub Stadium?
Yes.
That one was actually really cool to listen to.
Yeah. God damn it. Alex Cohen, that's his name. I don't think he's with the Iowa Cubs anymore. I think he's moved on. But at the time, he was one of the main announcers with the Iowa Cubs. And you know what's funny about that episode? I remember I felt like the whole time I recorded that episode, I'm just bombing. I'm bombing because I don't know. I'm not like a sports guy. So it was really hard to connect with him on stuff. And it was only a half hour long, which I like to keep the episodes around an hour. So I feel like if they're less than that, it means that I failed somehow.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I think I actually talked to you about it. I think, and you were like, "Oh, that was actually a really cool episode." I'm like, "Oh, well, thanks." And that's how it goes. A lot of times, I feel like you did really bad, and then you talk to someone, they're like, "That was actually pretty cool," and you're like, "Oh shit, okay."
So
I'll take it.
One thing I've found is people that are either announcers or radio or in some sort of job like we have that isn't necessarily long form. Like radio guy, it's yeah, you might get 3 minutes between songs. They have this thing that they've practiced, and I'd never thought about it until recently. It's brevity. They push everything down into the smallest amount of words to make sure they get their point across in a very efficient manner, because they're looking for this thing where it's I'll say this, it'll take 30 seconds, here's all the information, and there's no fat on this and nothing's wasted, and I'm done. And so when you interview people like that, they package their answer into this thing that's just here's 30 seconds and it's done. This is the full answer, but you get a lot of information in that 30 seconds. So even though it's not as long, you end up getting a lot of information out of these people, where you and I are in our, in this industry of podcasting, pontificating is a big deal.
Sure.
Filling up time with thoughts and taking time to let things breathe a little bit, where as an announcer for something or a radio person, you don't really have that luxury. Yeah, I don't know. That's just the way I thought about that. So
that's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
All right, so let's we got 4 quick ones here. It's a 1 versus 1. So what do you think, long form versus short form? What's your favorite type of content?
In general, I don't know. Probably long form at the end of the day, because I do like listening to long form podcasts. I like sitting down watching a 2-3 hour epic of a movie, taking in all the thematic elements and all that stuff. So, I like both, but yeah, probably I think there's more to be appreciated from a long form, or a long book. It's just a different art form, and there's something, to be appreciated about that, I guess.
Yeah, even a TV show is still 20 minutes or 40 minutes. So I'd still consider that long form compared to short. Yeah, for sure. How about you listen to podcasts just like everyone else does? Do you listen to audio or do you watch the videos?
I mostly listen to audio. I would actually say 95% of the time I listen to audio, because usually I'm at work. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm consuming a lot of my podcasts. And it's kind of interesting when you're I feel like this has been true with anything, whether it's you're making videos or whatever. The thing that you are producing, you tend to kind of not pay that as much attention to it. When I was in video production, I had a really hard time sitting and watching movies, because the whole time I'm just sitting there thinking about oh, this is how they did that. This is how they did this. And I'm in my head, predicting everything, and I couldn't even sit down and enjoy it. And I feel like sometimes the same thing happens with podcasting. So I'll listen to podcasts at work to get through my day, but then usually when I'm home, I'm gaming or I'm watching a TV show. I'm not really unless it's a podcast that I really enjoy and it's premiering something at night or something. I have set time for it. So
yeah, mine's 95% of my podcast audio only, and then it's when I'm driving, because I drive a lot. So that's the 2-hour drives here, the hour drive there, hour drive back, or whatever it happens to be. That's where I intake a lot of mine. So I could totally see that. You've done both of these. Do you prefer having a guest, or do you like doing solo podcasts? I could see the benefit of both. The guest, you get to double the exposure essentially, but with solo, you get to control the narrative.
They're different animals. I think I like solo a little bit more, just because there's a more sense of control.
Okay.
I have it planned. If I think next week I'm going to do. God, these animals. I'm going to do a podcast talking about the anarchy and the power vacuum and all these things, some of the things that we talked about.
Yeah.
I can plan that all out throughout my day. Like I can write out a document and be like, okay, here's the bullet points I'm going to talk about. And it kind of is a little more organized. Whereas like if I have random schmo Joe on, he could be a terrible guest for all I know. You could interview him and he'd be like, yeah, man, it was cool.
Yeah.
And, like more response. I've literally had podcasts like that where like there was one guest like I would ask him like questions, and I think like the third or fourth time I was like losing my mind. They're like, yeah, it's a vibe, man. I'd be like, well, like what's your album? You just did this. What? Yeah, it's a vibe, man. And that was the entire answer. And I was like pulling my hair out, and I'm like, okay, I think that's the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna start charging people to come on the podcast because like, I can't keep doing this anymore. I can't keep having like these people who have nothing to say. Here's a bit of advice. If someone is a good musician or writer or whatever, that does not translate into the podcast world.
That is true.
Like there are a lot of times where they're really good at that thing, but then they come on a podcast and they are an insufferable guest.
That has happened. I've had people that were like great musicians come on, be not the best guests, and then like out of nowhere, when I've re-interviewed them, they like hit a home run. But like, there've been guests where they've been good guests, and then they put out a stinker though too every now and then. So it happens both ways. I will say that. All right, let's see here. Last question I have on here, because I will say I did make questions for this, but just like you said, with somebody else, you got to kind of bounce around a little bit here. But last question I got here: would you rather have planned questions for somebody? You kind of already answered this, or just go off the cuff, just freestyle the convo?
I prefer to go off the cuff, generally. There will be some times where like I'll have like an idea. Like, here's the thing: I guess when I have a guest, like I do have questions in mind. I don't even necessarily write them out, but I'm kind of like, okay, here's 2, 3, 4 things I'm interested about, and like I try to make sure that like I get those in. But you know, there are a lot of times where like it like or guests like you or you know whoever who like is just naturally really good at talking. Like there'll be some times where I just kind of let them go, and I'm like, oh shit, well that's been an hour, 2 hours, and like you know, I feel like there are a lot of times where like you'll have a guest and you can kind of tell if it's like a contrived thing. You can kind of tell if it's like you're like trying to step them, like you're trying to hold their hand through it, or if like you're just kind of naturally ebbing and flowing.
Yes.
And I think even if like there's something that you specifically want to get across, or like if there's like this thing that you really think is important, like it, like I was saying, but like it's all about the audience at the end of the day. Like it's going to be more successful if you just do what they want to do, which is listen to a conversation.
Yeah.
They're more likely going to want to listen to a conversation than like, oh, here's me going to like awkwardly try to steer this person and have them talk about what I want them to talk about. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah, I can say that for sure, because there's times where like I've asked questions and then they just sit and look at you, and then you're like, well, is it kind of like this or kind of like that, or maybe were you thinking this at this time? You know, like you try and kind of like feed into what you think their answer is going to be anyways, and it's not always that way. But I will say having questions down helps, but it's also like topics where it's like, I have one of your podcasts, and then I said podcast stopped. Why? You know, like it's very basic stuff. It's not like I'm crafting out a whole question.
I wasn't trying to like call you out or anything.
No.
But yeah, no, and you know that's a whole beast in itself to try to figure out. You know, I think that's the talent of podcasting. Yeah. It's like it's being able to take the not even like the episode, but just this exchange, like this person that you meet, and trying to like a lot of times for the first time you've ever met them.
Yes.
And then trying to like sit them down and like actually make it interesting. Like sometimes they are guests where you kind of have to hold their hand a little bit. Mm-hmm. But then there are other times where you gotta kind of realize, like, okay, I'm just gonna lay off and I'm just gonna let them talk.
Yeah.
And it's a balancing act for sure. But I think the people who do it the best have success with that. So
absolutely. Well, Coleman, we've done, this is one of the longest episodes I've done since I've come back. Of course it is. You knew it would be. So I do want to say thanks for taking time out of your day to sit and talk with me, because you took time out of your day to sit and talk with me, so I appreciate it, man. Be sure to check out everything down below. I'm going to have Coleman's links down below. I was episode number 244, so that one just came out earlier this week as this episode releases. So go back and listen to that one if you want. If you didn't get enough of us talking, go back and listen to us talking more. There's about almost 4 hours, 3.5 hours of content to listen to in this week.
Oh, Peter, nobody can ever get enough of me talking.
Of course they can't. Well, don't go away. I'm going to end the recording. But Coleman, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast this week.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
There you go. That was a good one. There was only a couple edits in there, so proud of you, Coleman. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is super fun. It was really, really good time. I love sitting down and talking with Coleman, and this was a fun one, being able to sit here and talk with him in the in the studio, I guess, if you want to call this a studio. But yeah, just the nice remote interviews. I'm kind of bringing them back, and thank you to the people that have been the remote interviewees. As of recently, I've done a few, but I might be bringing them back in some capacity. What do you guys think? Do you like what they look like here? If you guys are watching them, if you're listening, it just sounds the same. You can't tell that the setup has changed, but yeah, I used to do like split screen for anybody that used to watch the old Patreon videos. Just split screen, and you can just see us both the whole time. This one is basically the same thing, except I'm sitting at a table and there's a TV next to me, and I'm like doing the interview with the TV. So I don't know. I like that. That's kind of fun, but it's up to you guys. Whatever you like. If you don't care, I don't know. Just don't comment. We talked about all sorts of fun topics in this. What was your favorite topic we talked about? Because there was a lot of really, really goofy ones. We went by a lot really, really fast, especially at the end. Talking about like favorite things and least favorite things, and I think that's one of my favorite things is like you have hobbies, and hobbies aren't all just like great the whole time. So you do have your favorite things and your least favorite things about doing literally anything. So it's kind of fun to delve into these topics. This isn't something I normally do on this podcast. It's not exactly why I created this podcast, and that's not exactly why I want to say everybody listens to this podcast. I'm not trying to like grill people too much, on things, but I'm just trying to get their stories out here. But like Coleman has a way of bringing it out of me every single time. Go back, listen to the older episodes. If you like this, you're gonna love some of the older episodes. Go to the McAllister Hours, listen to the episodes I was on. There's a handful of people that have been on this podcast that have been on the McAllister Hours, so it's kind of cool. There's like a small crossover. And there's people and love that have been on there. As a matter of fact, not to name drop people, but like Scott Kirkhart's been on there. He's a common guest here. He's been on the podcast over there. So go check out the McAllister Hours. Self-dubbed the craziest podcast in Iowa. I would probably agree. It's a fun one. It's no holds barred. It's great. That's one of my favorite things about it. And that's one of my favorite things about Coleman is he's just an honest guy, and he's out there just willing to have a conversation with anybody about anything. Yeah, it's just great. It's funny. And he's just a character. Go click on all his links down below and give him a follow and a like and a subscribe. Tell him Audible Farm sent you. And yeah, I got to say thanks to you guys for listening. Thanks to Coleman for joining me. Thanks to the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. You can watch episodes a day early of the Audible Farm podcast if you want to over on the Patreon. It costs $1 a month. Let's see, there are still some hats, and it's getting cooler outside. I've still got a couple hoodies left if anybody needs a hoodie for Audible Farm hoodies. What else do I got? I don't know. audiblefarm.com will take you to just about anywhere you need to go. Audible Farm, at Audible Farm on all social medias. Yeah, that's it. Check you next week. Bye.